Welcome to the Unscripted podcast. My name's Corby LaCroix, and the song you're hearing right now is called Great and Mighty One, available on Spotify, iTunes, or wherever you get your music. But for now, recording from the Unscripted studio at the Junction in Old Hilliard, here's your host and my friend, Aaron Conrad.
Great Redeemer, God of grace.
All right, everybody, welcome to Unscripted from my basement, and I promise very soon studio at the Junction in Old Hilliard. I've been teasing it for a while. I got construction pictures. I promise you it's coming. Thank you, Corby, for the intro on the audio. My guest today, I actually sent him a quick message, and I know everything's unscripted, but I did ask for a little bio. And he is from Cleveland. His dad owns a Polish sausage shop there, which I love. And then I love that you're from Cleveland. He went to The Ohio State University, where he studied English and education. He's been with Homage for 9 years. And he can't wait for the day when Cleveland wins a World Series, and I am 100% with you, brother. My guest today is Mark Jaworski, the senior marketing manager for Homage here in Columbus, Ohio, right?
That's correct. Right down the street from the airport is where our offices are. So.
Okay, so you guys. So do you have a fact like do you have a? I mean, we're jumping right in, but do you have a, I assume you guys do all your production right there?
So we do all of our like graphic design and stuff like that. As far as like sourcing and production and stuff, there's for printing, there's different, print vendors and, screen printers and digital printers that we use in Columbus. And then our cut and sew setup is in California. And there's a couple of companies, they're all out on the West Coast, for our garments and stuff like that. So most of what you buy online is produced in California and whatnot. So, but yeah, everything is designed here. Our team's here. Our founder is from Bexley, and there's a lot of folks, from the neighborhood that work here, which is pretty neat. So, and I'm not originally from here, so it's nice to be kind of welcomed into the community as graciously as I have been by the folks who started this thing back in 2007. So
2007, and we have to press pause. I got to put a pin in our conversation. I have to say one thing to you before we move any further. This podcast is nearing 100 episodes, and you and I have been in constant email contact really for the last several months. Well, not monthly, but yeah. We've been in contact. I wanted to tell you guys that, there's, millions of podcasts in the world, and there's a new one every day, or hundreds of thousands of new one every day. But Homage got behind a guy that they'd never even heard of or met before and said, "Hey, man, good luck to you." And so I just wanted to say thank you, because I'm a local guy. You guys gave me a little bit of wind in my sails, a lot of wind, honestly, to just say, "Hey, good luck to you." And I wanted to thank you for that personally. Publicly, for as many people as listen to this, I want to thank you for that, because it really, that stuff makes a difference when somebody's getting started, because, it could make all the difference in the world. So thank you. I wanted to say that before we got any further in our conversation.
No, totally. We're it's exciting, to see the strides made and all that. And I think, everyone here, as far as I can tell, has the same opinion. This is something that my dad, taught me when I was a kid too. A rising tide lifts all boats, kind of thing. I know it sounds cheesy, but when the community is successful and people within the community are doing their thing and they're having success, it helps everyone out. And that was something, like I said, my dad told me that when I was younger. You mentioned his store. It's a family butcher shop, Polish sausage shop in Cleveland, and my grandfather started it in the 30s. And, everyone in my family, cousins, brothers, sisters, we've all worked there as kids and whatnot. So, I was 10, 12 years old, and there's all kinds of other butcher shops, similar businesses, on the street. And this was back in Slavic Village in Cleveland. And people would come in from the other businesses. "Hey, Mark, you got this?" My dad's name's Mark as well. So, "Hey, Mark, you got that?" And he would always give them stuff. And it's like, "Dad, why are you those are our competitors? Why are you helping them out?" And like, he never saw it that way. It was always like, "No, we're all like," if someone from maybe Giant Eagle came in, maybe we wouldn't help them out as much, but otherwise, within the community, we're all in it, together, all trying to help one another. And we all have kind of the same goals, and it was less of a competition and more of a community. So long story short, happy to be able to, give you some support early on, and excited to see what comes next.
Yeah, man, it was awesome. And a lot of people were like, hey man, did that really happen? And I'm like, yeah, man, great company. And they just, got behind it and helped out. So again, huge thanks. So I just want to make sure we cover that before we got any further, because you guys have been, we're really supportive in the beginning, and I appreciate that. So, all right. One of the quotes I wrote down that I love the video you guys have. And that's, I think when I watched that video, I said, man, that's what I want Unscripted to be. Because the narrative in that video, and I think I've tweeted it a few times, and I'll do it again, I'll put it in this post, but the narrative in that video is so cool about stories and how we all have a story, and our stories connect and inspire us, right? And that was, it's like, if I could have written a script, that was it. It was just, I connected with that so much. And one of my favorite lines in that video says, something as simple as a t-shirt can bring strangers together who eventually discover just how much they have in common. Let's talk a little bit about Homage itself, and because I do want to hear your story too. But let's talk a little bit about Homage and what the company you work for every day, and who you spend your time working for. That's such a great line, because it's so true, man. You can go to a complete stranger, and if they got a 216 t-shirt on, I'm in. You're my friend now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Is that true? And what is it like to be a part of that?
Yeah, I think it's exciting. I think that would be the term I would use. I think it's cool as well, but I think it's, above all, I think it's just exciting. Especially, like you said, everyone has a story, and being able to drum up the emotions and the feelings and the things around what's important in people's lives is a pretty neat feeling. And it's why I think a lot of us here, I've been here for 9 years. There's a lot of folks on the marketing team that have been here for 4 years, 5 years, 10 years or more. And I think that story element is a big part of it. You mentioned in the beginning, I read books in college and was, on track to be a high school English teacher and whatnot. And never would have envisioned working for a company, a retail company or an apparel company. But then, once you're kind of in, and it started for me as a summer job, and, it was like, oh, this is pretty cool. This is not just like a clothing company. There's something more here. And once you're kind of in that environment, and, you're talking about stuff that's meaningful, it just, I don't know, it becomes a part of you. And it I think is why a lot of folks on our team are here, or have been here as long as they have, because it's a neat thing to be able to do. So I don't know if that answered your question, but it's cool. And we have, I like to think we have a large impact within the community in a good way, not just like, oh yeah, that's that brand that sells t-shirts, but, oh, that's that brand that, did that Not All Heroes Wear Capes last year at the beginning of the pandemic. And they raised over, $70,000 for the Huckleberry House here in Columbus, which, helps homeless populations in a time that they were hit particularly hard. Like, I also hope people identify us with the work that we do in that respect as well, because at the end of the day, that's the most rewarding stuff that we do here, at least in my opinion. So.
And it's awesome to have that kind of platform, right? That your company has grown to the place where you can have that kind of platform, where you can put out a t-shirt that does make that kind of an impact. There's a ton of I don't have to tell you, there's everybody, there's a t-shirt place everywhere. You can just Google online and find bazillion of them, but are they all big enough, or do they have that kind of heartbeat for their city, or even nationally? I would think for as large as Homage is, I would think there's a national footprint too, where you guys can have impact that not a lot of places can have. And you've earned that right by having done all that you guys have done. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think that's fair. I don't want to say like I don't pay too close of attention to other brands. Not that I am, think that they're. I just kind of keep my nose down, and I try to do what we can do here. I try to build within this brand. So I can't speak for how much other brands may or may not contribute to the community in the ways that we do. I don't mean any disrespect when I say I don't pay attention to it. It's just one of those things. Like I'm really focused on what we're doing, and that's where my energy goes, and that's just kind of how I go about not just this, but like anything. I try to be. I think that's one thing about our brand too that is really neat. It's a positive brand. We're okay. I think I did pitch a t-shirt. Oh, the Warriors blew a 3-1 lead. The NBA didn't go for that one. But that would be that would be one of those instances where maybe we're kicking someone when they're down, although that's 5 years ago now. But by and large,
it was worth it. Come on.
Right.
It was worth it. We're from Cleveland. It was worth it.
Yeah. Everything I think that we do here or try to do is certainly focused on uplifting and building something positive. So it's harder to speak to the competitors and things like that. Like, we're aware of what's going on, and we're aware of what shirts other companies are doing. But some of the day-to-day and things like that and whatnot, like, obviously everyone has a right to their fan bases and things like that. But I think what we do is pretty neat. And hopefully other brands and other companies are trying to emulate what we do, because I think if that were happening, that's a good thing. So
absolutely, it's a great compliment. And so let me ask you this, and everybody knows there's an underwritten unscripted rule where if I ask you a question you can't answer, don't answer, shouldn't answer, whatever, you just say pass and we'll pass. But can we peek behind the curtain a second? So you just mentioned it, because you guys pump out a shirt, like, you're on top of the memes. Like, there's those waves, especially now in today's generation with social media. There's a phrase that catches on. There's something somebody says in a ball game, MFL, NBA, whatever it might be. Something happens, or you got a lot of 80s stuff. So let me ask you that. I know, for example, NBA Jam, which I'm of the generation when NBA Jam was the bomb, and that was just the game. So what does it look like? Do you have to, from a marketing perspective, you guys, I imagine, have to have rights deals all the time? Like, is it like, it's hard to ask this. Like, I don't know how to ask the question, but are you guys constantly in the legal room, like, talking through? I mean, I don't know how else to ask the question. I'm not that bright. So, how are you guys constantly in a room with a bunch of lawyers saying, okay, we can say this, but we can't say that, or we can use this and we can't use that, because you're the stuff on your site. You've got great stuff, and it's all memorable, and that's what I think so many people love about your company. There's always those memorable, iconic, images. What's it like to get that, and how hard is it for you guys to get that? Are you constantly in the conference room with attorneys?
Not as much as with the attorneys. We have relationships with NBA, Major League Baseball. And then we've got, we don't have an NHL license, but we do have a relationship with the Blue Jackets, and same thing with Columbus SC, Crew SC. We don't have an MLS license, but we've got a great relationship with the team, and both, all of those entities, we do wholesale product for team shops, for the teams and things like that. So those relationships are there, so any design that we want to do that, where we've got a partner like MLB or NBA or WWE for, is another example. Like, all those designs go through their teams for approval, and they'll say, hey, you can't say this, you got to change this. And, after you submit, 100, 200 designs or whatever it is, you kind of get a feel for what they will approve or what they won't approve. Ohio State, obviously, we're licensed through, that's our biggest, yes, our biggest arm of our business is with OSU. So all that stuff's got to go through, those entities for approval. So, I think we've got great relationships, and I don't manage all those relationships all the time, but we generally, like NBA playoffs right now, if there's a moment that happens in one of the games tonight and we want to jump on it tomorrow, our contacts, I feel like at the NBA are pretty responsive. Hey, we like this. Yes, go do it. Sometimes it might take a day or two. Sometimes they're fast, and it's the same day, because they understand too that, a lot of these things are hyper relevant in that moment. And if you drag your feet on something, you're going to miss out on it. And it's, there's going to be a new story tomorrow, a new playoff game tomorrow, right. New moments and memories are being made all the time. So, from that respect, it's, I think, our team's done a great job over the years of working in establishing relationships with, there's big groups and small groups and groups, all sizes in between. Now, for something like the Browns, so that's an instance we don't have an NFL license, and so we steer clear of. We can't say Browns on a shirt. We can't, there's other things. We can't use player names. Now we're free to go out and make relationships with individual players, And every league is a little bit different on how many players you can interact with. And, at a certain point, do you have to carry a players association license in addition to the league license? It's, I could talk about licensing for days.
For sure.
All the different hurdles and stuff like that. But for something like for the NFL, so the Browns, make the playoffs last year, we had a couple of designs on deck. They're not trying to jinx anything, where there's a lot of Cleveland fans working for the company, but like we have stuff on deck, if they beat Pittsburgh this week and they make the playoffs, here's what we're going to do. And we can kind of tiptoe around the edges of what's licensed and what's unlicensed. Hey, we'd love to have an NFL license one day. Maybe we will. So we definitely, there's a gray area there that, we play in, and a lot of other brands are the same way. You want to be able to speak to those moments. You got to be careful of what you say and don't say. And then, obviously if an organization reaches out and says, hey, like you can't do this, or like what's going on here, our first hope is, hey, let's make, let's put an agreement together. Let's see if we can work something out. And, some companies are into that. Some are just, are less interested. So it's just one of those things. I think we've gotten pretty good at it over the years of knowing kind of where that line is, getting close to it, not going over it. But it's certainly, a gray area for a lot of folks that are, have businesses similar to ours who want to be able to speak to those moments in real time when they happen, but maybe don't have, all these, agreements with different organizations and things like that. So it definitely is, we try to keep our ear to the ground. Like you said, if something catches on social media, our social team will, hey, this is on fire right now. Let's figure out how to speak to it. Sometimes that involves a product release, something new. Sometimes it's, just reposting or whatever. It just kind of depends, but we definitely rely on them. I am not very good at social media. I swipe through Twitter a little bit, for long enough to feel like the world is going to end tomorrow. and I gotta turn it off. But the social team, they keep their ear to the ground on that kind of stuff. And it really is, it's a collaborative effort too. If something's happening and, I'm not aware of it, or, our product team isn't aware of it, or if someone from the stores is like, hey, like this is happening, we should be talking about it. Like those ideas a lot will come from all over the place within the company, which is sometimes kind of confusing, but also, I think has given us some of our biggest wins over the years with respect to, launching a t-shirt right in the moment when something's taken off. So
right. So, and I think you've answered a lot of this, and thank you for really coloring inside the lines for me, because I didn't say that very well. Licensing, I think, is the word I was looking for. But so let's just say, just hypothetical, Baker Mayfield walks out the field and he says, I felt like, what did he say? Something about dangerous. What did he say?
Woke up feeling dangerous.
Woke up feeling dangerous. So let's just say you guys hear that. Somebody from your team hears that. What's that process like? And I think you covered this a lot, but let's just, what's the Cliff Notes version? Somebody's sitting there watching TV and they say, man, that is going to blow up on us. I imagine there's phone calls or texts that take place to say, hey, woke up feeling dangerous, get it in production. Like, is that how that works?
Pretty much. Yeah. A lot of texting will go on.
Okay.
Yeah. I would say that's generally how it works. Hey, so-and-so just said this. What do we think? And then from there, it's, trying to piece it together. What does it look like? Do we have a relationship with this person or this entity already? Is there a lot of times too, like we want to, we want to move fast. So like it's you just got to kind of go.
Yeah. You almost have to be first to market. Like, you know what I mean? Because there's probably a million other people that also heard that said, we got to go get that done. And so is there a race that takes place? You know what I mean? Like, or you said it, I think there's probably things that are helpful. So let's say the Bulls have won 5 championships and they're about ready to win their 6th. You've probably got a t-shirt or something ready. As soon as they win it, it hits the market. But then you have those viral moments when somebody says something that I have to think. And if I'm going too much in this, I'm just fascinated by it. With a marketing mind, I'm fascinated by how this works and always have been. That moment happens instantaneously. Somebody at the Academy Awards, somebody at the ESPYs. somebody says something and you're like, that is going to be a shirt. And I have to think there's a whole lot of people making those same texts to their teams. What's, you know, I mean, are you guys like in that, or are you just like, you know what, let's just, you know, we'll take it. And because everything that you all do is so professional and well done. There's a difference between being first to market, but then also being well done, you know, and giving up who you are. So do you guys fight that too?
Yeah, I think trying to, that balance is important. I mean, you know, being first is less meaningful if the product stinks, you know, right. or if the story just isn't quite all the way there. So yeah, being first is important, but I wouldn't say it's important. Being fast is important, I think, rather than being first, because the moments, well, first, you know, I think, you know, folks a lot of times will say, okay, well, what's Homage's response to something like this?
Right.
I like their t-shirts. That's where I want to go. And, you know, other brands have their following too.
Right.
And, you know, we could be first, we could have the best story, or, you know, what we think is the best story. But, you know, if another brand has, you know, their followers and, you know, their loyal fan base, you know, they could have something come later, you know, so depending on your fan base too, like I think it's more being fast and being first, because what we find a lot of times is, you know, those moments, they catch fire and it's like a flash in the pan. And then, you know, 2 or 3 days later, maybe not 2 or 3 days, but 2 or 3 weeks later, it's on to something else. And there's a different story that has people's attention right now.
Right.
So if you kind of wait, you know, a week or 2 weeks, the moment's kind of passed, you've missed that kind of that natural momentum or that groundswell that's taken place in, you know, the social space or wherever else. So there's definitely, you know, wanting to be fast is part of it.
Yeah.
Getting it right is a big part of it too. And, you know, there's times where there's probably been instances where we've been fast and maybe didn't get the story right, or it just didn't connect the way we thought it would. Mm-hmm. And it's hard to predict. I mean, there's things where I remember when the Browns went, I know we've talked about Cleveland quite a bit here.
That's fine.
But when the Browns went 4-0 in the preseason, the year they went 0-16, which, fun fact, by the way, 2 teams have gone 0-16, the Lions and the Browns, and both of those teams went 4-0 in the preseasons before those seasons. So go figure. But when yeah, right. When that was happening, it's like, hey, because we're bad at that time. And so like the shirts were coming out for Cleveland are more aspirational, you know, one day, or like we love draft day because it's, you know, we're not losing, or it's like
whatever. Right. Yeah.
Like we had, you know, shirts for when we snapped the losing streak. We had shirts ready for when we had, you know, 1-2 games in a row for the first time in however many years. But, you know, when the preseason was happening, and it's like, all right, if the Browns win tonight, like we don't have much else to celebrate because the team's not very good. Like, let's come out with this undefeated preseason champs tee. And that came back, you know, that idea came from our merchandising lead at the time. Mm-hmm. And it's like, you know, I remember being at the office the next day and we're getting the details together. And, you know, my boss at the time looked over, he's like, is this really worth it? Like all this, you know, we're dropping everything right now to do this Browns 4-0 preseason champs tee. Like, is it really worth it? I was like, yeah, I think it could be pretty good. Like, you know, Browns fans, like we get excited over whatever we can.
Right.
And so we did it. And it just, I mean, we sold thousands of them. I mean, it was just a top seller immediately. So you don't always know what's going to hit. And there's been other times where we've done stuff where it's like, all right, this is going to be really good. We've checked all the boxes here. You know, we've got a great design. It's a topical moment. We've got people, you know, in the social space ready to post about it. And we do it and nothing, right? Crickets. So you just don't know. So you got to swing at, you know, when those pitches come across the plate, you got to swing at them, because if you don't, you might strike out. That's fine, but you're not going to get any. You know, you're going to miss out on some big wins too if you don't. So it's definitely something that we're accustomed to. And I, you know, kind of jokingly said at the beginning, you know, in March last year, kind of, you know, when we were working from home and all the sports seasons were canceled, and, you know, obviously there's a lot of serious stuff going on. Mm-hmm. We've practiced for this in some way for a long time, because we've always kind of had, you know, not like a scramble mentality, but we've always been nimble enough to react in real time to things that are going on. And so, you know, when COVID was really just kind of, forcing everyone to stay home and can't go into work, and we've got to totally retool the marketing calendar because all the sports are over for this season or postponed. We really had to shift pretty quickly, and so some of that lent itself to being able to do that about a year and a half ago, whatever, year and a few months ago, when everything was going. So
well, and I think it's important when and I learned this many years in my years in business is there's the ocean liner and there's the jet ski. And it sounds like you guys are able to be the jet ski, because the ocean liner takes a whole lot longer to turn around. You said nimble, I guess from a thought perspective, it's a lot easier to turn around that jet ski than it is to turn around that ocean liner. So are you guys nimble enough and you almost have to be in this industry, I would think.
Yeah, there's definitely advantages to being an ocean liner too. Mm-hmm. I would think, having a little bit of, proficiencies in both, being able to be, an ocean liner and a jet ski almost at the same time, I guess is the, whatever you call that watercraft. I don't know.
I don't know. I'm not very nautical. I don't know.
But we definitely have that mentality, and it's a small team, and, a lot of the big moments that the brand has had over the years have come from those instances where we have been able to flip a switch and chase an opportunity or chase an idea pretty quickly. Other things like, being able to work with the NBA and Major League Baseball, those conversations took, years to work through. So that's, more of your ocean liner type of stuff. Right. And it's funny, there's a quote, someone from MLB leadership, when we were, first kind of a licensee for MLB, says there's things to keep with the nautical references. He said there's things you can do as a pirate.
Hey, we're from Cleveland.
Right.
It's Lake Erie.
There's things you can do. Yeah. There's things you can do as a pirate that you can't do when you're in the Navy. And so that's like an interesting way to look at it too. Like, there's a lot of stuff we can do with the, with a jet ski mentality and turn things around quickly. And then there's a lot of stuff where it's you have to be a lot more planned out, a lot more disciplined, and a lot more, I don't know, like playing by the rules is the right way to put it. But for other areas of the business, that's, those things are important. So we've definitely had, some tough learning, learning opportunities over the years where, things didn't always go as we had anticipated or have, planned. And, the business has had to make some tough decisions at times. And, that's just part of the game, from time to time. But I think, with both of those outlooks or items in the marina, I think we've been able to overcome quite a bit. And I think, we've got whatever boat we're driving is definitely going in the right direction right now. I feel, so.
No doubt. And it's I tell you, it's a lot of people's favorite brand. Like I said, a lot of people, feedback to me, oh man, I love their shirts. I hear that all the time. Like, people just love your shirt. And so let's talk a little bit, if you don't mind, just the quality of shirt. Like, you guys, it's not just a t-shirt, I can get a t-shirt anywhere. Like, you guys make a quality brand shirt that people just love. And I think it's a comfort thing. It's a local thing. I mean, what is it that you think that what's the thing that gets people to love that shirt so much?
Yeah, I think that's, one of the things that I know Ryan, who started this company, he kind of felt like, hey, I love, Ohio State. You go to the store or you go online and you shop for Ohio State product, and, you get this heavy cotton shirt that isn't all that comfortable, or, maybe it doesn't have, the kinds of storytelling that appeal to folks, my age, or, people that are into the things that I'm into. Mm-hmm. So I think he just felt like there was a real opportunity or a hole in the marketplace there for a more premium t-shirt. It's people, Yeah, I worked at our Easton store when I first started here. I worked at our Easton store. People come in, 32. Well, at the time it was 28, but $28 for a t-shirt, and they'd scoff at the price a little bit. It's like I get that. I totally understand it.
Yeah.
I went to college where I took anything that was free that came my way. Right. I went to many meetings for clubs for things that I had no idea about, just so I can get free dinner or stuff like that, or whatever else it was.
Right.
So I totally get that. And I am not trying to, slam anyone who thinks $28 is a lot. It is a lot of money for a t-shirt. I understand.
Right.
But I think what we try to offer with that is something that you want to wear over and over and over and over again. And you want to come back and get another one because it's comfortable. And when you're looking at your closet and you've got, those, 2 or 3 t-shirts in there that you really like the way they fit, or you really like the way they feel, that's the one that you end up grabbing. Maybe more often than some of the others. So I think that was, kind of how it started with Ryan. Just kind of recognizing that, hey, there's a market for a $28 t-shirt or a $32 t-shirt. We're not just getting a Hanes, cotton, 100% cotton tee and throwing logos on it. We're going to develop a fit that we think we like. And I know that over the years, that's kind of the fit has kind of been in different places,
right?
Depending on when you bought it and stuff like that. We're always trying to get better at it. But that, I think that was kind of the goal, was to try to find something that filled that need within the marketplace. So,
well, I think you guys nailed it. Clearly, it's a brand that people recognize, and it's a brand that people love. That it's because you said not all t-shirts are the same. We won't talk about what we did in college to get free t-shirts.
Right.
Let's move on. It's unscripted. So that you've touched on it a few times. How did you end up at what was your path through Homage? It sounds like you started at the Easton store. And so let's start there. There is a store at Easton. So you all have a retail store. Is there more than one, or is that the only one?
We've got 2 in Columbus. So there's also one in the Short North on High Street, like pretty much Hubbard and High, the intersection down there.
Okay.
And then we've got 2 in Cleveland, one at the Crocker Park Mall out on the west side. And then Pinecrest they're all kind of like that Easton style mall where it's kind of like outdoor lifestyle shopping center. And then Pinecrest is another location that we've got more on the east side up in Cleveland. And then in Cincinnati, we have 2 stores as well in the Over the Rhine neighborhood on Vine Street, and then in the Liberty Center mall there. So
nice.
6 stores in all, which, kind of got the 3 C's in Ohio covered with
there you go.
Columbus and Cincy. But yeah, the Short North store was our first store. That was originally in the alley, the Brickell Street alley there, but that was our first store. So we had been around for about 3 years before that store opened. And then Homage Trivia. I did win Homage Trivia at our holiday party this past year, and I can't remember the year that we moved from the alley out onto High Street downtown, but the Short North store was our first store. But Easton's our biggest store, that we opened our Easton store in July of 2012, and so I started right around that time. I started in June of 2012. And did some training at the Short North store because the Easton store hadn't opened yet. But yeah, at the time that was going to be a summer job for me. Coming off of I was teaching. Shout out to Grandview class of 2014, I believe it was. But all those students I had as freshmen. Freshman English students back in 2011. So it's coming off of that. That was a sub position, a long-term sub position. So I didn't have anything really lined up for the next school year, and was, like I said, just picked up what I thought was going to be a part-time summer job. I had known Ryan through Ultimate Frisbee. So I play Ultimate quite a bit. Excited that, and I'm just going off on all these tangents, but our summer league is coming back this year because we didn't have it last year, obviously. So that starts next month. But I had met Ryan through Ultimate Frisbee, and then I worked at CD 1025 I worked there for 10 years as like a promotions marketing person, I guess. So that was also a part-time job. Again, coming out of college, just whatever jobs I could get, I was taking them. And then, so my boss at the radio station worked now. He was the marketing director over at Homage. So I had some familiarity of some folks that were there. Was just texting people, hey, you got anything that's available for, I don't know what I'm looking for. I'm just looking to work hard and whatnot. So, I started at the Easton store. And so we opened that store back in, like I said, July of 2012. And then I was just kind of got poached a little bit for projects like, hey, we are going to set up a booth at ComFest. Mark, do you want to because that's what I did at the radio station as well. And so my boss from the radio station was, just pulling me in for random things, kind of over on, the office side or the, Homage HQ, as we call it. And then just kind of over time got absorbed into that side of the business, just doing things. And then like a lot of folks at Homage, your role just kind of expands as the company grows.
Right.
So yeah, and I think my current role, I've been in it since maybe 2016, 2017. But again, kind of it's just an evolution as the brand has grown. Different people take on different responsibilities, and there's just a lot more work to do now than there was 5 years ago or 10 years ago or 14 years ago. So I think that's exciting, and I think a lot of folks have experienced a similar track record here. You started off doing one thing, and now like you've been here a long time. You're doing something different, but you've everyone that's here, I think, has made quite a bit of contributions over the years to the brand, and I think you can pretty much ask everyone's fingerprints that work for Homage. I feel like are in the brand, in the product, in what we do, which is really cool. So. That's the benefit, I think, a lot of times of a small business. You can have that kind of impact. So I guess that's a little bit about my journey through the company. But
that's awesome. All right. Since you play Ultimate Frisbee, do you know MKBHD? Do you know who that is?
I don't know if
This is my nerdy side now. On YouTube, he pretty much reviews everything, but he's an Ultimate Frisbee guy.
Oh, okay. I'll have to look.
He's got a massive following on YouTube. So random.
Check it out.
Welcome to Unscripted. MKBHD. He pretty much hangs out with what's his name, Elon Musk and all those guys, and gets all the newest products. I'm a nerd, so there you go. MKBHD. Look him up because you've probably played against him, I would think, if you play an Ultimate Frisbee. So is there a team in Columbus?
It's mostly like club teams and things like that. There's a couple of professional leagues. I haven't kept up with them too much. Columbus had a pro team. 2012 maybe it was, right around that time. We had a team for one season. The owner, I think, lost a bunch of money and stiffed a bunch of people on payments, and that was the end of the Columbus team. But a bunch of my buddies played. It was the Columbus Cranes. And one time I was with one of my friends. We were at Chipotle. We were, getting our drinks, and these two kids, they must have been, I don't know, 14 years old maybe, and they came up, and my buddy was wearing his Columbus Cranes jersey. Oh, you're Natus, which is my buddy Nate Body's nickname. Can I have your autograph? And I'm standing. I was like, you gotta be freaking kidding me! Like of all the people too, my buddy, of course, just a total ego stroke right there in the Chipotle, having these two kids ask for his autograph. So
that's awesome.
Columbus Cranes was the team here in Columbus, but. We've had some like club teams over the years that have been pretty competitive. So Mad Cow was a team that was around here for a while, and they would go to nationals. They would make nationals maybe every other year or so. And then they merged with a team out of Michigan called High Five. And so it was like a combined Columbus, Michigan team. And that was around for, I don't know, 5 or 6 years. And they would routinely go to the nationals. They'd make nationals each year, but that kind of broke up. The team still, High Five's, I don't know what happened. Everything anymore after last year, I feel, is all in a whirlwind. So, I mean, anyone can create a team and, register with USA Ultimate and participate in the tournaments and stuff like that. But I don't know what the landscape really looks like for some of the higher competitive Ultimate in Columbus looks like. The women's team is really good. Fever, my old roommate used to be their coach. So They do really well. And we have a mixed team here as well. There's a bunch of them, but Cocktails it's a men's and women's team.
I love that name. That's awesome.
Yeah, you can do the math there. And they're also like a national caliber type of team. They can usually make that nationals tournament. So there's some good players in and around Columbus, Cleveland, Cincinnati area for sure. So.
All right, MKBHD, look him up. I think he's on that pro circuit though. It's MKBHD. I'm pretty sure I'm saying that right. It's Marcus Brownlee is his name, but
okay.
Yeah, he's kind of famous. All right, you ready for rapid fire?
Yeah, that's
all right. So, and rapid fire, there may be some passing here. I don't know. So,
I'll try my best to be as rapid as I can.
All right, there's really no rapid. All right. So, did you guys create a crew with the new logo? Crew shirt.
We haven't, and again, that goes back. We don't have an MLS license. And
okay. All right. I thought you said you did because I was like, how many of those did you have to throw away? So we already answered that question.
So we used to have an MLS license years ago. Fanatics pretty much dominates that space now. So we got nudged out of that one. But
there you go. All right. So let me ask you that. And this always happens in rapid fire. We end up going not rapid fire, but so Fanatics, for example. So now here's you guys on the jet ski, not to go back to our nautical theme, but you guys are cruising along on your jet ski or your whatever that other size boat is up. And then here comes an ocean liner like Fanatics, man. Do they just blow you out of the water and there's nothing you can do? And this may be a past question. I don't know. But like, do you guys find that a lot where whatever, like we don't use company names. Some company that's massive and has big old pockets and big old, ties comes along and just puts you in their wake. Does that happen often?
Yeah, it'll happen. I think one of the things that we're good at, like we have relationships with Fanatics where we do wholesale product with them. Cool. So like you can go on Fanatics website and find Homage product there, which I think is cool. So instead of, trying to, make a big enough wave in our jet ski to knock over the ocean liner, it's like, hey, can we come aboard for a little bit and hang out?
Permission to board.
Yeah. And so we like, I think, everything we're not out to like, I don't know. We want to have good relationships with these companies because like you said, they're the behemoths in the industry. You want to be on their good side and you want to have relationships and, they can give you business too. So it's not like it's Fanatics or nothing. But there are other times like, with, we have an NBA license, we have an NBPA license that allows us to do likenesses of NBA players. But we can't do LeBron because he's got a deal with Nike. And so, Nike kind of steps in and will say, hey, like, this is our guy. Now we do stuff with the LeBron James Family Foundation and we raise money, through apparel for the LeBron James Family Foundation, but it's nice. It's very tricky to work with, with some of the premier athletes. If they've got, a big brand deal elsewhere with a shoe company or, a different apparel company, like those companies have paid a lot of money to that athlete or superstar, whatever the person is. So, in that respect, I get them not wanting to share hey, we paid millions of dollars to have access to this. At the same time, it can be frustrating when we don't have millions of dollars to pay for, athletes. Right. But, I think one of the things that we try to do is do cool stuff, regardless of, what the relationships are. And like LeBron has worn Homage many times before. He's worn our Taco Tuesday tee. He's worn our Ultimate Warrior tee when he got off the plane. Like after with the trophy, Iconic. He was wearing an Homage shirt. He wasn't wearing a Nike shirt. I don't know if Nike was how pleased they were with that necessarily, but like if you do that kind of stuff and you have good relationships and you keep the doors open, like good things will come your way. I feel so. Yeah, it's a little bit of both. Yeah, sometimes it's frustrating when a brand kind of kicks you out of the boat. But a lot of times too, there's opportunities to be able to work with them in various ways. So, all right, that was rapid fire number one.
that was my fault, man. We diverted. We went way off course. All right, how many Homage shirts do you own?
That's a good question. I've got a list of ones that I know I want to buy because I haven't bought one in a while. I probably own around maybe 100, but a lot of those I will get, like we will do like a friends and family sale like once or
Yes.
twice a year.
Yes.
And so I'll come through and it's like, oh, here's, some $5 shirts that were just, been hanging around for forever. We're trying to get rid of these. And I'll get most of what I buy in those instances. So I always tell people, please, please, please do not buy me t-shirts as presents because I can't wear them all.
Yeah. What's your closet look like? Are they hung up? Are they folded up? Are they in stacks?
I've got a closet where I've got my favorites hanging up because it's just easier to throw them on a hanger than to sit there and fold them. Although I feel pretty good about my folding skills. And if you work at a t-shirt shop for long enough, you'll learn how to fold.
Right. Right.
And then so I've got some stacks in a dresser drawers as well, with some shirts. So I'd have to count them. I don't know. And I'll donate some. I'll periodically weed out some things that I don't think I'll wear anymore. But I'm kind of a pack rat on some of that stuff. I don't like getting rid of old t-shirts. Yeah. And there are certain t-shirts from my youth that I wish I still had, and I regret getting rid of them. Because I guess you just never know. So
yeah, t-shirts are personal, man. They all have some kind of meaning, right? And it goes back to the quote about that's how strangers become friends, man. You see somebody, even if that thing's cheesecloth, as soon as you see it, it doesn't matter what's on the front of it. We're friends. So, what's your favorite one? Your favorite Homage shirt? My
favorite Homage shirt. Oh man, maybe we did a shirt when the Indians won 22 games in a row back in 2017. So we did two versions of that shirt. One said like history made. And then in the baseball, it had 22. And then I think, it said Indians on there or something like that. And then we did one for the team shop, and I had to buy it full price but we did one for the team shop where it had on the back, it had every game in the streak, the opponent and the score. And I really thought that was cool.
That's very cool.
And that streak, man, I tell you, we had back-to-back doubleheaders in the middle of that streak. We beat, what was it, the Tigers and the Yankees, I think, in back-to-back doubleheaders. Like, winning doubleheaders is hard. Winning back-to-back doubleheaders is really tough, and then doing that in the midst of a 22-game win streak is pretty wild. So maybe that one would be one of my favorites. I'll throw that one out there as my favorite.
All right. Have you ever designed a shirt that went viral? Like one of your? Did you come in and say, guys, we should do this, and it happened?
I was really pushing. We have a shirt for the cicadas right now. I was really pushing for that.
I can't wait to see it.
And that's been one of our top sellers over the last month or so. I didn't design it, but I was really adamant that we should do something for it. It's funny that you mentioned it. So last week or the week before, Coach Stefanski stopped into my dad's store.
Wow.
And which is really neat. And he's like, if you go in there, there's just like Browns memorabilia and decor all over the place. My parents were season ticket holders from, back before I was born. And so he came into the store, and I got my dad the shirt. It says, "God bless our Polish coach" on it. And growing up, like living in a Polish family, we had a magnet on the fridge. It said, "God bless our Polish Pope," because Pope John Paul II he's the only Polish Pope that he's the only one. So we had that magnet on our fridge as a kid, growing up. It was just this little purple magnet the size of like I don't know, like a quarter size of a credit card, right? And it said, "God bless our Polish Pope." So I wanted to do a shirt. It said, "God bless our Polish coach," for Stefanski when he won Coach of the Year and NFL Coach of the Year or whatever it was. And so we did it. And so I bought it for my dad, and I sent it to him, and he never took it home. So just at the store, and Stefanski comes in, and my dad's like, "Wait a second, I got this shirt." So he puts it on, and so there's a picture of my dad with Coach Stefanski, with my dad wearing the shirt. My sister tweeted about it, and she was really excited, like, so happy for my dad, this kind of stuff. And I think it had over 5,000 likes, which is nuts because
that's awesome.
I think maybe the most likes she probably ever had on a tweet before that was maybe like, I don't know, 20.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So that one was, I advocated for that one, and that's on my list of shirts I need to buy because I haven't picked it up yet. But
there you go. What does the cicadas one say? I'm dying to know. Right. What does the cicadas one say? It
says I think it says like Cicadas, the Emergence Tour 2021 or something like that, and it's got a big cicada on there.
Perfect. It's perfect. All right. Hopefully we'll sell a couple of those because of this episode. I don't know.
Right.
But, man, you're off the hook. That's all I have. I've asked you a million questions. I could talk marketing all day because I love the whole concept. Hopefully people have found this interesting. But, man, I appreciate you. I appreciate you guys. I really appreciate you guys, like I said at the beginning, just getting behind and just pushing just a little bit of wind into the sails of this thing. And who knows where this thing's going to go. I'm not even on the jet ski. I'm a sailboat. You all are on the jet ski. There's ocean liners. I'm just trying to – I might even be in a canoe, just paddling, trying to get going.
As long as you're holding water, and not sinking, I think you'll be all right.
Well, I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm on the rough waters of Lake Erie, but no, I appreciate it, and I really mean it. You guys were great, and huge fan of yours and everything you do, and I appreciate you coming on, man.
Thanks, much appreciated. Thanks for the invite. If you need me back anytime, happy to jump on. I don't think either of us are fans of brevity, so I feel like we can go and go and go.
Chat all day. That's right.
Quite some time. So you're in the right line of work, man.
There you go. All right, but one more thing. And so on that point, to your point exactly. One more thing. Homage.com, right? HM. I can't even spell. HOMAGE.com, correct?
That's it. Yep, 6 letters.
That's it.
You can pronounce it however you want, but that is how you spell it. Yeah.
And I will have the links in the post and everything else that I put up. But man, I appreciate you guys. Good luck to you. I hope everything just continues to just win for you guys. And I'm just a fan. I'm a fan. Thanks so much.
That's very, very much appreciated. Happy to be on here and tell a little bit about our story and hopefully we'll get something together in the future and have at it. So
sounds fun, man. I appreciate it.
This has been the latest episode of the Unscripted podcast with your host, Aaron Conrad, from his studio at the Junction in Old Hilliard. Make sure to like, share, follow, and review on your favorite podcast platforms. Also, make sure to check out my song Great and Mighty One on Spotify, iTunes, or wherever you find your music. We'll be back with another great guest soon. We'll see you next time.